All right, guys. It's been a while since my last release because I was doing just a whole ton of crap to this program. Um, Whatever. So this is going to be a quick go over of the changes. All right. So first of all, efficiency changes. The app was always pulling saved leave-outs from the string even when you're logged in. This was unnecessary, so I skipped the polling of your strings for the layouts now. Um, a major change in generalities is you are now allowed to have devices with the same name. So you'll see I have two Pro devices shown here. That one and this one, which is technically a grid. So it's lying about being a Pro device. I just named it so you could see that. You're now able to set the starting universe. That's in here. If you set that to anything other than 50, you would want to, well, I probably should open XLights right in this. If you have more than one program on this computer listening to the exact same ports, like say you were also listening for something that controls your hue lights that uses the same protocol, you would come in here and say start universe is whatever. Just change it to a different one and make this match the one in Artnet to Twinkly, and it just works. No big deal. Let me click on it. Stupid thing. There it goes. There's been some weirdness with it being giant. Okay. Test mode, expanded. Yeah, so there you go. Two devices. I can now click test and it will output testing to both of them. Also, I have changed what the test mode is previewing. So, oh yeah, and I moved the live preview check over here because it's not really a per string thing. So now test mode cycles red, green, blue, and white. And if you have an RGBW device, it's going to use the white LED on the white channel. Also, there was a small bug where this was staying the wrong color sometimes. No big deal though. All right. Groups now hide a bunch of fields when you select it. So as you can see, all this crap's hidden. That's because it doesn't apply to groups. So I made it disappear. Comes back on a regular stuff. Gone to groups. I am working on something to control groups with directly, where if you set it here, you can't set it on the strings anymore. The group then takes priority. I haven't got that worked out yet, how I'm going to do that. So for now, it's going to be in a future release. It's one of the things that delayed this one is I was working on that, but it's not ready. Okay. But in the meantime, groups no longer say group in front of them. Shouldn't be an issue because they're color coded. The reason they said groups to start with was I was actually identifying that in the string in a bunch of spots internally and using it to run code. Now I've set a flag on the object, so it's not necessary anymore. All right. Some of you may have noticed that sometimes when you hit test, nothing happened for a while. You may have noticed when you this was missing sometimes. And the reason was if you like this string here where it's not actually loaded, but it knows it exists, it tries to log into it, and it was waiting the full HTTP request timeout before it finished populating this crap. So this box ended up delayed, and so did, in fact, the timer that ran the live preview. So I've changed the order that stuff runs. That's what all this is about. Also, now if you're logged off and you click on a group, this aspect ratio will default to 1. You can't pull it out of the strings if you have to be online to get the actual aspect ratio. So it was not populating this, but it was keeping the last thing you had selected on. So if you were on like the icicle and then you clicked on test, this stayed to 0.2 and it screwed the display up. That's a bug fix. What else? I already mentioned this. If you clicked an illegal node after you turned on test, it left it as blue. Also, this is for reasons. If you turn on test mode and you switch, it shuts test mode off. It's because I have to clear the data in the cells for all strings affected, and it was just too hard to identify what they were. Otherwise, you ended up showing stuff on your strings that you weren't intending to. Okay, I already mentioned this. Oh, you can live preview test mode now, even if you haven't saved it. So I can click test mode on this now and run it and live preview it, which is you couldn't do before because there was a code check in live preview that was checking the length of this stuff unnecessarily. So when you were in test mode, it mattered when you were receiving streaming because it needed to know how much of the received data was going to this particular stream, but it didn't matter if you were testing because the test code is actually inside the string and the string knows how big it is. What else we got here? Layout editor. So the layout editor had a bug in the live selection. So if I click live output and I select some stuff, then it live outputs that to the device. I'm not going to show you that. I've showed how that works before. But you might be able to see it. I just selected a bunch of white and then see this all selected. So the bug was if this selected node was white and yellow, you couldn't tell which one you had selected because it would defaulted to white. That's been fixed. What else we got here? Node drawing is Z-ordered. So let me get out of here. I don't have any 3D devices to demonstrate this with. But let's see here. Even my tree's flat because it's inside a node. So let's look in here. And let's rotate this. Let me select all. Well, it won't matter. But if I have a 3D device and I'm rotating it, the nodes in the back get tinted red and the ones in front are white. Well, now it actually knows to draw from the front to the back. And before you would get some of the red ones overdrawing the other ones. So that's a fix. And as a reminder, you can Control Z out of this and undo your stuff. It even controls what you're selecting, Control Shift Z. Put it back. What else we got here? Okay, in saving, this is important. If you commit changes now and you're editing a group, it will, and you upload, this will also upload to the strings. It wasn't uploading to the strings before, which doesn't normally matter because the group layout is what works. But if you were using the default effects built into the strings, you know what I'm talking about, then they could be wrong. A more important change, though, is now if you, instead of editing an entire group, you edit just one device like I am now, it will actually upload this to the string like it was supposed to, but it will also, it will affect the group itself. After you upload. So if I upload this, Twinkly upload successful, and now you can see that it is now reloaded down here. As a reminder, when you use the layout editor, you have to commit your changes before you upload. Then this is important because if you want to import something, say, I don't know, let's say this, and you're like, nah, no, you just cancel. You don't have to worry about it overwriting anything. As you can see, the old layout is still there. And this is actually right. It's just reversed 180. So if I wanted this to look like that, I got to play with the settings on it. I don't actually have a way to reverse this except spinning it completely around right now, but let's do that. And then drag the whole thing this way. Like that. And then if I committed that, it would be pretty close. You get the idea. I will be eventually putting something in the tools menu to flip it, but it's not in there yet. It's not what this update's about, so I haven't expanded that stuff. Okay, what else we got? Oh, if you're importing a layout that is 3D, it was marking it as 2D on the import. It now properly marks it as 3D. So when it uploads, Twinkly knows it's a 3D import. That's fixed. And finally, the bulk frame limiter control buttons were broken. Now what that means is in here in bulk control, these two buttons just weren't working. When I went to theming, I broke these, and when I fixed these other buttons in the release after that, I somehow missed these two. So there you have it. There's some things. Oh, I changed this label. I make it noticeable that it's Wi-Fi devices only. This is for, because if you're using a pro device, you have to use something else. I am eventually going to modify the streaming scheduler so that you can control all your devices, even pro ones, at once with it. Of course, you'd have to leave this program running, but if you need a scheduler to run your Wi-Fi and your pro all at once, there's currently just not a way to do that. Like I said, this one here, this release is mainly about getting groups fully supported, and it's actually got quite a bit of underlying code changes that needed to be done both for that and the ability to name your devices all the same. I had to change device tracking to use MAC address instead, which involved detecting the MAC address in devices that weren't that were already saved, and then bringing it in for you, and so on and so forth. So there you go. Anyway, I think that's it. It's just a bunch of updates. Everything should still work like it did. You should still be able to go in here and be like, just, you know, edit part of a device or import part of a device or whatever. Test entire groups and stuff. That's just about it. And that's all I got. Thanks, guys.